Hi everyone, Kane here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to run the live stream tonight. Life has gotten in the way, and of course sometimes we just have to adapt to the things that get thrown at us. But I did want to throw out some of the material that I prepared for you to be able to help in your study. So we are 60 days till the KFP exam, but as we were talking about last week, we're only 37 days to the CCE exam, and so now is a good time to get some practice in if you are waiting for the CCE exam. And there's going to be a whole bunch of things that I wanted to highlight and do some practice cases as well. So some things I really want to bring out there is that if you're not familiar, the CCE exam is based into two separate kind of distinct formats. One is a case discussion whereby an examiner gives you 5 minutes worth of reading time and then asks you a bunch of questions within the case, using the timing for each question as a rough guide for kind of how many marks those things are worth. You have 15 minutes of that case time in total, in addition to that 5 minutes of initial reading time, so 20 minutes all up. The second up is the clinical encounter. So the examiner will give you 5 minutes of reading time where you're given a clinical STEM, and then you interact with a sim patient, a pseudo patient, where they can more directly examine your interview technique, your kind of examination observation skills, and really it's about how can you extract information from a patient as well as implement a management plan, at least in a verbal setting. Now, the patients are normally pretty good, or the role players they're listed as, are pretty good at following the script. And don't forget that they're wanting to give you information. And so this is a really good opportunity to reinforce the importance of those open-ended questions at the start, because they're going to have a bunch of things that they know that you could be asking about, and they're essentially looking for excuses to give you that information. So the odd, oh, tell me more about that. Oh, that's interesting. Is there anything else? Can really go a long way. Of course, time is finite, and these are simulated sessions. So there can be sometimes more information to get out than the amount of time you would normally want in a consultation. So once you start to get out some of the kind of big ticket items worth exploring, feel free to use those closed questions to actually get yes or no responses to really hone in on what are the important details that you think they might be wanting to answer for the case. And remember, in reality, we're trying to match the presentation, the patient's agenda, and our own agenda. For these, we need to focus in a little bit more on what is our agenda, because we need to be displaying our clinical expertise as part of the examination. As a rough rule of thumb, though, I want you to approach the clinical encounters very much as you would a patient just coming in and sitting in front of you. Have a think about what you would do if that patient was actually in the clinic there, and that'll usually put you in good standing. Now, the exam is designed to assess for your clinical competence. So where the other exams, the AKT and KFP, are really about your clinical knowledge and decision-making skills, this is that polish, that finesse that comes with a consultant-level doctor working in their field of expertise. This is showing your preparedness for independent practice as a specialist general practitioner. Now, there are no quotas on the pass rate. It's not like that only a certain number can pass, and after that people will fail. You are not required to achieve a pass in a minimum number of cases. They take your performance overall into consideration. And there's also no negative scoring. I know one of the big things that mucks people up in the KFP examination is overcoding and losing marks. That does not happen in the CCE exam. But of course, if you come up with something that's obviously dangerous for a patient, that's going to come into the overall reflection of your performance. And yes, you can fail a station based on that. Now, if we look at the public reports available, the lowest pass rate is 83.25%. So the vast majority of people are passing this exam. Now, I think that's a reflection as well. By the time you get to this point in the exam, you've seen enough patients, you've got a lot of your communication techniques down pat, and let that play to your strengths in this exam here. I also want to highlight that where a lot of people struggle to get through both the AKT and KFP exam, those that aren't successful on their first pass attempt usually have very high success rates in subsequent exam attempts as well. So if this is an exam that you haven't done so well in previously, don't let that weigh you down. Keep cracking at it, because this is a good chance that you will have subsequent success. Now, if there is anything else I can say, some must-see exam preparation comes from who better than the source itself, RACGP. There is a 2-part CCE preparation course that you'll find available on GP Learning, comprising 2 modules. The first one, including information on the competencies being assessed. Of course, these competencies, who would have thought I'd be incompetent on my competence assessment? The competencies are available on the RACGP website as part of the curriculum, which admittedly is out of date now, but still has those domains and areas that you are being assessed on freely available for you to read through. Now, the second module is more aimed at guiding you through that preparation activity. So they have a few cases there. They have example marking rubrics, so you can actually see what kind of things you're being examined on. And there's some fantastic video examples and a whole bunch of practice cases that I would strongly encourage you and a partner or study buddy, anyone you're close to that has some medical knowledge, to engage with. If you don't have someone, if you're in a rural or remote community and you are on your own, they do have sim cases there that you can have a layperson, non-medical person actually read through and act as that sim patient for you. And you can use then the marking rubrics to reflect on your performance yourself. Now, I want you to enter the CCE exam with a structured approach. I would take my A4 bit of paper going through and I would quickly write out what you see in front of you here. This is roughly based off a template I found from RACGP Exam Prep or Registrars for Exam Prep, a Facebook group, which as well, if you're not a member of that, I strongly encourage you to join. There's some absolute gems in there. But if you quickly jot these things down, it only takes about 10 seconds at the start. And again, if this is something you practice again and again, this is a fantastic little cheat sheet that makes sure on the day when your brain's running at 10,000 miles an hour, that you're not going to miss out on those little details. This is a nice handy little prompt to get you thinking about what are the things that I should be addressing and what are those common little traps that we know day to day we should be doing in general practice that in the heat of the moment you may forget. In particular, I want you to look at the management section there. Focus in on what is the short-term and long-term plan, what are our pharmacological and non-pharmacological options, and never forget, who are you referring to? Have you given the patient information? You can talk about specific handouts as well. And if you are going to talk about giving the patient a handout, specify a handout in particular. Talk about, don't just say I'm going to give them a gastro handout. Say I'm going to give you a handout from the Royal Kids Hospital on management of gastro and home. Again, similar to the KFP, really hone in on those specifics there and it gives that little bit of extra polish. Plan that follow-up and put in a safety net plan so that the patient knows when to escalate care if required. Hopefully that helps you. Now, of course, here we'd be normally launching into some questions, but we're going to save that for next week when I am going to be able to run the live stream. And of course, until then, I hope you have a great week. Hopefully this has been helpful. Apologies I couldn't run it tonight, but didn't want to leave you all sitting there with nothing to do. So log into the GP Learning website, and if you haven't done those modules, do them now. Thanks.